Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Estate Monopoly. My name is Kerwin. Today we are very excited to have an awesome guest here. He's actually a professional athlete and now he's a real estate investor. So I'm very excited to dig in. Art, please say hello to the audience.
Peace, everyone. Kerwin, thanks for having me. Really excited for this episode.
Absolutely. And Art Morrison III is an entrepreneur and owns multiple businesses. He's also a full-time real estate investor, and he currently specializes in residential real estate through his private equity firm, United Home Relief. Art is a former professional basketball player, which is awesome. And he's also the author of the book, Overcome. He gives back to his community through his youth basketball training giant, AboveMAX Basketball. So Art, just kick it off, on a strong foot. Why real estate after your background in basketball, which we will touch on?
Money. I like it.
I love it.
That's the episode. No, but seriously, like growing up, the way that I grew up, like I say it in my book over and over, you don't know how much money you need or how much money you don't have until you like tap into adulthood. So my whole life was all about basketball and like, yeah, the NBA, we know NBA players are rich, but it was just sort of an escape and blah, 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 that whole story. But once I got like 25, 26, 27, I didn't want to hustle anymore to make money. And basketball is a hustle, right? No matter how much you're making. I wanted to find a way that didn't have a cap on how much money I could make. And my older brother had some background in real estate. And I know that it's like we all need it. So that really inspired me to jump in. And I hesitated, like double dutch. I was like, slow start just because I had so much going on in the basketball space. And then I got a deal that fell into my lap that ended up just being a small wholesale deal. But I made 15 grand. And I was like, $15,000 because my neighbor wants to sell their house. This is like, the possibilities are endless if 15,000 happens by accident. So from there, we just kept having more accident deals, right? Our first flip, we made like 120 grand or something. So every deal that we made money, it was more money than I had ever made a previous deal. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And so now here I am full-time into it. I don't want to see no other industries. I don't want to hear any other industries. I'm riding with real estate. So
I love that. And it's so funny. There's a lot of things I want to dive into there. But starting out, so my brothers and I was kind of like the non-athletic one out of us, but we all played soccer. And Jeffrey and Kenneth, my twin brother and my older brother, they wanted to get into soccer and kind of like really take that seriously, go pro. That was the goal. And now that they're in real estate, I always kind of like find it really curious as to what skills that they developed and kind of cultivated as athletes that kind of translated into the real estate space. You did touch on how, I guess for like a lot of pros, people kind of what they see is the glamour and the lifestyle, but you mentioned that there's not a lot of control. Can you expand on that and maybe how that drove you to pursuing something a little more stable and with more opportunity maybe?
Yeah, certainly. This is my favorite thing in the world to talk about because it's so, is glamorized the word? What's the right word?
Yeah,
It's been a long day. But anyway, it's so, we're going to make up that word, add it to the dictionary. But yeah, it's so, desirable, right? That lifestyle. But people don't understand that, like, you tweak your ankle at an important tryout or workout, and it could dictate whether you get that contract or not, a contract that you might have worked all summer for. You can't control if you tweak your ankle or bang your knee up. But those things can affect your dollar. The direction that teams are headed can affect your income as a player. You're not thinking like, a team will bend over backwards to sign you. But if their team and the organization wants to go in a different direction of the structure of like, positions and do they want to rebuild, blah, blah, a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with you, that dictates whether you're paid or not. Right? Do they need you anymore? Do you have to search for another contract? So it's like, in real estate, we always get on the 9-to-5 rat race. We're always talking trash about it. In athletics and sports, it's worse. It's like that, but more volatile. Imagine every season having to get, or every year having to get a new job, right? There is no, like, you could look at some of the greatest NBA players of all time. Like they weren't on one team the whole time. So at some point they had to change jobs, right? Like, so their career was basketball and the career was the NBA. The NBA is not a job. It's actually, it's an industry. Each team you play for, each position, every time you sign a contract is a new job. That doesn't, and it's predicated on your body. So with all of that, it's like, bro, I wasn't a good, like I was a good athlete, obviously. But my point is I wasn't very sought after. You guys read my book, Overcome, The Key to Unlocking Your Superhuman. I talk about how I went to 5 high schools. So it's hard to get a scholarship, but I somehow did so. College, tore my knee my senior year, and then freshman year, because of my 5 high school fiasco, I missed the whole year. So I had 2 seasons. So I took control my senior year by emailing 3,000 teams. This is me taking control. I took control by working out every day and recovering from a knee injury in only 4.5 months. That's the control that I had, and it still didn't dictate. It still didn't translate over to the uncontrollables of, is an agent going to steal from you, right? Is a team going to want a different player or someone else to lead the team? Those things are uncontrollable. So imagine those talents. Imagine the perseverance that it took to try to take control of an uncontrollable career applied to something like real estate that has far more years of data, right? Far more case studies.
Yes.
Right? You apply those same skill sets and principles to an industry like that. You're 99.9%. You know how, like, when you look at a Listerine bottle, it says it kills 99.9% of germs. Now 0.1% is just chance. It doesn't really represent the amount of germs. It's just chance. That's like real estate. It's like when you apply those principles I just talked about to an industry like real estate, you're 99.9% guaranteed to succeed.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I went gung-ho in it. And it's because of, they're like opposites. The level of control that you have in real estate is just like unmatched in any other industry. Stocks, crypto, especially, like, I don't care what you want to compare it to. There's so much control you actually have in real estate.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And it's so true. It's about the mindset, I think, that you develop as an athlete. And like we were touching on this before the call, but a lot of people, and I've kind of started to come to identify business and real estate specifically as a sport. And it's about, like, there's different ways you can measure your success in it, but I would absolutely say it's about perseverance first off, and then persistence. And I'm sure you had a similar experience where at first you weren't really getting traction in real estate and it took some time. We also took about 6 months to get our first real estate deal, and then a little bit longer than that to get our first multifamily deal. So I'd love to know, can you maybe expand on that persistence factor, and then maybe some other traits that you have that you developed as an athlete that you've translated into real estate?
Yeah, for sure. Persistence, one of my favorite words, because you got to just keep taking the same action over. You got to be like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But in real estate, you have to be a little bit insane, very similar to a sport, right? Like, you have to go to the park every day and try to dunk and keep missing and missing and missing until one day you make the dunk. The level of insanity that's required to do that. In real estate, it's the same thing. You can take the same action. You could door knock, you could drop for dollars, you can email people, you can cold call, you can hit people up on IG, take a ton of action and be willing to fail a lot of times to eventually succeed. And we talk about why I like this industry. I mean, you could try something 1,000 times and succeed the 1,001th time. Is that the word? I'm
First,
off today, but 1,001st. But no, seriously, like that on that try, you can make 100 grand.
Yeah.
You can walk into $500,000 of equity into a multifamily. Like that's a real thing. So if there ever was somewhere to apply persistence, like, that's the industry to apply persistence. So as an athlete, once no athlete ever played forever. Especially not professionally, ever. Like, that's a stat. You could do real estate like till you die. We know this for a fact, that like real estate is dominated by really old men who've been doing this for a really long time. That's who dominates the industry.
Yes.
You can do this forever. So if you can master the art of persistence, you don't have to really even be that smart, right? You don't have to be that special. You can just continue to be persistent from now, whether you're age 18, 19, all the way to age 81 and 91. Yeah. If you can just master persistence, you can master making money in this industry more than you could playing a sport.
Yeah, I love that.
Other than that, though, like, everything translates from the sports side. Like, you and I, like, we're going to connect eventually and do a deal together. I want good people on my team. You're a good player, right? I want you. It's like being at the park. I want you on my team. But like, if you're not on my team, like, I want to kill you. Like, after this, I'm going to look at your website and see how many deals you've done. I want to do more deals than you. Like, that's a special thing about the
Yes.
industry. Some people take it in the wrong way. I feel like this ain't a shot at like, baby boomers or whatever, but millennials, Gen Z, I feel like we have a little more fun with it. Maybe that's
Yes.
because we have more time ahead of us. Sometimes in real estate, it gets a bad rep for people like being a little shisty and taking the competitive nature too far. But again, that's the sport of it. It's like in basketball, there's some people who are really competitive and you guys can smack each other on the butt after the game. And then there's some people who like actually want to fight you and actually try to hurt you in the game, and elbowing you and take your legs out, right? But that thrill is what makes you like wake up the next day like, I want to play some more basketball. It's the same thing in real estate every day. I never wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do real estate.
Absolutely. And there's so many things that awesome gold nuggets you dropped that I want to dive into. But first and foremost, I think as an athlete, you learn to kind of handle pressure. And I've noticed just like today, for example, there was tons of opportunities where we could have gotten stressed out and really just gotten paralyzed by what's going on around us. Can you maybe expand on how being an athlete helped you deal with pressure and maybe what principles or maybe hacks you have to dealing with pressure when it comes to being a real estate investor?
Yeah, it's like, unless you're it's not that big of a deal. And that sounds so like primitive, but it is what it is. When I grew up, it's so funny. I didn't know like life kind of sucked. So as I'm like, my parents getting divorced, I'm moving, I'm going to 5 high schools. I'm not even thinking like, this is going to hinder me. Like, this is what people make movies about, like the kid's parent gets divorced and like, you're not thinking that in that moment until you look back. So in real estate, it happens so often. Like, we have a deal now, and anybody who knows anything about flipping houses, the deal's not supposed to go a year. Like, it's just not. We have a deal now that's flirting around a year. And I'm like, yo, how is this happening? Like, everything that could go wrong just keeps going wrong. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I'm pretty seasoned in the game and it still gets me. It still has me like sad sometimes. I just want to curl up in a ball. I'm like, yo, when my money's tied up, our investors' money is tied up. But what keeps me going is that I know like I'm not gonna die. The deal's gonna close eventually, and we're just gonna move on to the next deal, right? You know that by the more experience that you have. So it's just almost making your situations that feel so heavy, just reminding yourself that they're light. There's no shortage of opportunity.
Yes.
In real estate, in general, in life, if you want to get like philosophical, but we're talking real estate, there's no shortage of opportunity, there's no shortage of money. There's always going to be another deal. So that's what really keeps me like from like jumping off the balcony, you know what I mean? Like, it really, or just saying, I don't want to do real estate no more. I'm going to go back to basketball training, or I'm going to go get a job. Like, because I know what we talked about earlier, persistence is going to lead you to success. And then on top of that, I just know like it's really not that big of a deal. It feels like it, but it ain't.
Yeah, no, and you also, so obviously you're young and we're also in the younger demographic and younger like group in the real
Yeah.
estate industry. And I think there's so much advantage to being on the young side. We always get like people wish we had started at our age. I'm sure you get that a lot too. I'd love to know, and you mentioned like your ability to focus. I know you also work with your girlfriend, I believe, and you've also been able to really focus instead of like going to get a job or doing something on the side. Real estate's your main priority. How has that been an advantage for you? Not only because you're young and you maybe have more time to focus on real estate, but your ability to really just like have laser focus when it comes to pursuing this one goal and just having that hustle mindset when it comes to it, whereas maybe other people aren't willing to put in as much effort as you.
Yeah, I want to clarify for anybody who's listening. I don't have anything against older people,
No, I
right?
know.
But because my answer to your question is actually experience. It's like, one thing I do envy of some of the older people in this industry is that they're very sound. They don't get flustered, and they're actually better at focusing. Whereas we as young people are like, I want to do flips, and I flip this many houses, but like now I want to do multifamilies, but like the flip business is really good. Okay, we'll do both. All right, I'm going to launch a podcast. All right, I'm going to launch merch too. You know what? We might as well sell Amazon stores because we have a lot of, you know what I mean? And like, we can jump all over the place, which although it's still entrepreneurship and although it could be under the same business or whatever, it's not focused to the level of, as I get older, I realize, yeah, what if you put all that energy into one strategy, part of a strategy, right? Like just underwriting, right? Or just acquisitions, multifamily. Like how would you be able to grow? And you could argue all day which is better. You obviously want to diversify, have different streams. But my point is, as you go along in this journey, you learn yourself, and focus looks different for everyone. And you just experience really helps me decide like, yo, I don't even like doing this. I only do it for money, but now I make money other places. I can stop doing this. Or, hey, I love doing this, but it doesn't make money. It's not the best opportunity cost of my time, or it's not a revenue generating activity. Let's get rid of that. And you would never know that if you didn't go through it, right? So experience is my answer to that.
I love that. And you touched on focus looking differently for everyone. And we struggled with that. We get a shiny object syndrome. We used to get that a lot as an early real estate investor, where we were doing wholesaling. And like you said, we were doing wholesaling, and then we were doing flipping, and we did some creative finance, and things were going crazy. And then we decided, oh, let's do multifamily. And then we started a podcast. And so a lot of things, different things were going on. And it really start seeing traction as multifamily syndicators until we really laser focused, honed in on it, had a really specific investment criteria, and didn't get distracted with anything else. What does that look like for you? And what investment strategies have you, if you haven't yet, have you, if you have, but if you haven't already, what are you hoping to maybe really get focused on?
Yeah, let's end the interview because I'm about to embarrass myself. I genuinely don't know. I was up until, and this is like not like a podcast story. This is a real story. Last night, I was up until probably 2 a.m. thinking about this. Because like I said, we've had a successful fix and flip business for the last few years. I like doing it. I'm working with everybody I started with. We're in a weird phase where we're beginning to outgrow some of that business model. So I have to make a decision, right? And it's a great lesson for anyone listening. Do we stop doing that cold turkey and take those resources and do what I really want to do? Which, to answer your question, is it's always been the goal of like multifamily syndication. I like the idea of doors. But like, because we have systems, and I'm not sure how educated your audience is. So like, if you need clarity on some of the stuff I'm saying, just tell me to give a definition. But for example, the BRRRR strategy, right? We have a system that finds us properties on the regular. That's how we're able to scale a fix and flip business. So I'm like, well, we could just switch it to where we're just cash out refinancing these properties and keeping them and growing our doors that way. That's option number one. Option number two is what I said before. Just stop doing flips and focus the whole team and everyone's energy on multifamily syndications, or scale the flips, remove myself from it, and then make the right partnerships and now kind of run both models at the same time.
Yeah.
That's where I am in my career. I'm not like ashamed to say it or try to come off like extra polished. That's why that focus question really hits home, because I'm like really focused right now. It used to be worse, bro. I was doing like a car rental business. I had my youth basketball organization training like in person. So I was like actually training kids and coaching teams. Like, it was bad. So once I focused, my real estate business grew. But now within real estate, there's so many options. But to answer your question for whoever might be listening or whatever, like, close your eyes and envision like what your life is, and then work backwards. So like, when I close my eyes, like I know exactly what car I'm driving. I know exactly how my life is, right? It's not a lot of phone calls during the week. It's not a lot. So I know that aligns with either multifamily syndication or growing my portfolio through the BRRRR strategy. So I have to think about what's the fastest way to get there. And then that's how I determine what I want to do. So I'm trying to actually get out of the fix and flips, even though it makes me, over $350,000 a year net, right? Like I can translate that into multifamily syndication, or just start keeping these properties and focus on the long term better.
Yeah.
So
no, I appreciate you sharing that story, because we could totally resonate with that. Like, my brothers and I, we were in wholesaling, as I mentioned earlier, and then we decided to transition to multifamily because we took a seat and we were like, why are we even in real estate to begin with? We realized we created a job for ourselves with our wholesaling business, and the whole goal was passive income. And so we sat down, and of course, multifamily for us has been a slower burn than wholesaling. So like, it's going to take longer for us to reach the goals we want in multifamily. But we realized in 10 years, like, what tree do we wish we would have climbed up? Like, if we look back, would I have wished I had built like a massive wholesaling business or a massive multifamily portfolio? And passive income was always our goal, retiring our mom. So I think like that's a good exercise, not for the audience. If anyone isn't sure which path to take, like, look at which tree you wish you had climbed up, and because it's going to take time. And if you're working every day, all day anyway, you might as well put in the time towards what you want to actually do,
Yeah. I mean, we all have the ability to see the future.
Exactly.
Like we literally do. I don't care what you believe in, God, Allah, you literally can, you see you can manifest and really think of like, and will your way toward that goal. And I think that's an important exercise to do more often than not, because it'll tell you exactly what to do on a daily. Like, you know, if you do the exercise before when you're unsure about something, do that exercise. You'll know, like, I'm not supposed to do this next thing. I'm not supposed to go to this place. I'm not even supposed to take this meeting. Like, you're going to know if you just close your eyes and think about where you're trying to go and work backwards from there. If that event doesn't fit that journey, just don't even do it. Don't even waste your time. Time's way too valuable.
Yeah, I love that. And so this is kind of a little bit of a pivot, but I'm not sure what your upbringing was in terms of like financial education, but I've heard you in the past mention how you reinvested a lot of the money you made in your real estate business back into it. And that seems to me like you were very financially savvy and just really responsible with the money that you were making. Can you maybe provide some context into how you were paying yourself at first, and why you found it so important to reinvest that money back into your business? And just for like context, my brothers and I, we grew up low income, and my mom, I mean, she did everything she could, but we didn't really have a lot of financial education. So we kind of had to learn on our own that our brains and our network and our business are our biggest assets. And so Robert Kiyosaki, he's back there if you're watching on camera. He's the one that taught us those principles. And so I would love to know, I mean, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I wish I was qualified to answer that, and I wish I was as smart as Robert Kiyosaki. But everybody who's listening, don't be like me. Like, I didn't pay myself. I was obsessed. This is the curse of being an athlete. I was obsessed with growing my business. So I would not eat. I would not pay myself. I was bad at selling. Like, we would close and make $100 grand, and the whole $100 grand would go either back into the business or to pay off the debt that we built up from, you know what I mean, not making money for 4 months, or to buy another asset, right? Or 2 assets. I was never thinking to pay myself, to save. So don't be like me, or do be like me. But what I'm saying is that came natural. It wasn't a strategy. It came natural because I was so obsessed with growing my business, because I knew that at 25, 26, 27, 30, like, if I kept doing that, I probably have terrible mental health and all of that stuff at 35, but I also probably could stop working. I probably would never have to work again, right? So I was just obsessed with growing a business model more so than I was obsessed with making money. That's really what it came down to. So I'm just now at 32 getting to the point where, all right, bro, you have to pay yourself first. Like, you have to make sure, like, it was years we didn't have like health insurance and stuff, you know, like, I just was, any money we made was going back into more assets, more deals, deal flow, marketing, whatever, things like that. So you guys, you have to pay yourself. There's a fine line between YOLO and then like being extra conservative, right? Yes. And like, I was so afraid of like, oh, you make money, go buy a car, go buy some jewelry, vacation. But like, I can tell you right now, the jewelry is important, the car is important, the vacation is especially important, because those are your trophies, yo. That's your positive reinforcement. Nobody's gonna give it to you. It's not a job. They're not giving you rewards, or like, so you have to do it for yourself to keep you going, or else you're gonna experience burnout, which I've experienced, unfortunately. So that's my advice, if it even is advice. I mean, the financial answer is like, yeah, you're supposed to pay yourself 30% and then save 30%, and then the remaining 40% reinvest into your business, or whatever the formula is. But like, yo, if I make money and I have a list in my phone right now, it's like, yeah, I know we need a better camera for my content. If I make $5 grand and the camera is $4 grand, don't be like me, because I'm dropping that $4 grand on the camera all day. That's how I got to where I've been. It's the same in basketball. It was like, nobody was trying to hear a rest day. A rest day, like, I live in the hood right now. A rest day, you know, I'm sitting at the end of the bench in middle school. Rest? What do you mean? I'm going to the park. I'm doing these push-ups or whatever I was doing in 2002 when I was trying to be a ball player. Same thing applies. So there's a happy medium to it. Don't burn yourself out. But if you want a strategy, just be strategic on, like, keep weighing your mental health daily and be like, yo, do I want some short-term satisfaction right now versus some long-term investments in my business? Yes or no? That's a fair question to ask. If the answer is yes, I want some short-term satisfaction, then go get this short-term satisfaction. Yes. go get it. If your mind is telling you need it. If you're a disciplined individual, if you know you're not disciplined, we can have a different podcast episode about that. But you can answer that question clearly. Like I don't need to buy that, bro. My car's only 3 years old. Why do I need another car? Like, all right, cool. Reinvest back into the business. You know what I mean? Or like, my girl, like she's working, she's sacrificing with me. She deserves a vacation. Let's go on vacation. Like you have to weigh these things. That's the advice I would give. I don't have like a formula or anything.
No, that's awesome. And I love that. This is like this whole conversation is like an extended sports metaphor for real estate. It's awesome because the trophies is so true. Like to be completely honest, we don't really pay ourselves that well in terms of like a lot of the money that we make, we put right back into the business and we don't give ourselves those trophies, but I can totally see how important those trophies are and how they can kind of motivate you to keep going.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
And your brother's 20, the twin brother at 20. How old is your other brother?
24. So we're all
So follow your 24-year-old brother's leagues. He gonna once you start getting to that, like there's anybody watching. For me, it was 25, but really 26, 27. That's when like your parents, everybody around you is kind of like, all right, bro. Like I hate to say they stop believing in you, but it's not cute no more. It's like a 20-year-old running a business everybody wants to support. But everybody starts acting way different than they were 7 years ago. You like, yo, damn, like when I needed money to go to a basketball camp, you had me, but now I need money to get a logo and a website for my business. And you're like, bro, you need to get a job. Like, your mom starts asking you for rent. It gets weird. So my point is saying that though, is that from a trophies perspective, as all those external things that feed you start to drop off, you're going to have to recreate those things. Yeah. You're going to have to literally hire people to make you feel better about yourself. You're going to literally seriously, you have to create trophies and create the environment the same way that a job would if you had a job. They literally would, they give you a gym membership. You know what I mean? They give you, they do certain things. They do staff appreciation. You have to do that stuff for yourself because ain't nobody else going to appreciate you.
That is powerful. I appreciate you sharing that. And we can completely relate in terms of the obsessed thing too, because to kind of touch on the other thing, we really don't do much else besides, I call it building. I don't even call it working because I just love what I do. And my brothers, we love what we're doing. We're chasing our real estate dreams of building our empire. And so it really is building for us. And I'm sure you can relate to that when it comes to just focusing on the business. And does that kind of provide that fulfillment for you?
Yeah, you guys are lucky, but also it's dangerous because it's 3 of you and your brothers. So it's dangerous because you'll just keep working. And you'll be like, holy crap. One of you will fall in love and get married, and now the other 2 of you are like, yo, what are you doing? See, but that's the dangerous part of it. But the amazing part of it is you guys don't have to you're all hustling. You eat what you kill. You don't have to worry about paying staff. You don't have to worry about people getting weird. You're blood related. Obviously I do business with my older brother who's 10 years older than me. He's been doing this real estate a very long time. And it's a blessing because it's you have an infinite partner. So it's really dope. But I don't even remember what question you asked.
You're good. Yeah. I do want to just touch on the last question before the speed round. We'll do 2 real quick. But it's speed round. It's exciting. So first off, I know, and you kind of touched on this, but real estate really is a team sport. And that's kind of, I think, what is appealing to you about syndication. Can you maybe expand on just briefly how is real estate really a team sport?
All right. So real estate is anchored by LLCs. No big real estate investor invests by themselves. And that's because on an LLC, you can add as many members as you want. And those members can each play a different intricate role in exchange for shares in that company, AKA that asset. So when you take that little big word speech I just gave and you think about it, you don't have to know anything, be good at anything, or really nothing to be successful in real estate. You just have to be good at team building. So if I don't know anything about real estate and somebody's like, yo, Art, I like you, man. I'm dying and I want to give you this asset. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to find someone that knows what they're doing and I'm going to add them to my team. And I don't have the money to maintain the asset that they give me. Let's pretend it's a $10 million multifamily. I don't know. I'm going to find the money to value add and maintain that property. Right. But then I know I'm going to need to refinance down the line and my credit is a 400. I know I can bring somebody, add them to the team that has strong credit. You literally can piece together the smallest pieces of real estate to be successful in a transaction. So like, if that isn't basketball, I don't know what is. It's like it's 5 people on the court at one time. There's one person whose job is literally to bring the ball from one side of the court to the other and then distribute it. That's one person's job. There's another person's job to shoot. That's it. There's another person's job to get to the basket and make the defense have to move, right? Which then helps the shooter, right? And the shooter being a shooter helps that person easier get to the basket. And then there's literally someone to just get the ball when other people miss.
Yes.
Right. And then there's another person's job to defend your basket. So if you're a shooter, you don't even have to worry about defending the basket. Like he's got it, or she, or whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like the biggest team analogy I can give, but it allows you to suck. Like what sport is that? You know what I mean? Like, and in basketball, you can't really suck. Like I come from a place where I wasn't always the best player. So I worked my way into being good at this sport by being good at one thing, and then 2 things, and then 4 things, and 5 things. Now I'm the best player, right? And then, so you can do that in real estate, but you're on the team, you're in the game with just the one thing. So, you know, if you're looking to get into real estate and you're looking to do it by yourself, it's going to take you longer than get in the game. You have to learn so much more to close your first deal by yourself than you would with like you and your brothers, 3 of you, or me and my girlfriend who I started the business with.
Yes.
Like it's so much easier when you have a team, even just a partner, because you don't have to be good at everything. And it just accelerates how fast you can move along in the real estate game. So
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, my brothers and I, we have quickly learned to identify our own strengths and weaknesses, and having the right people in the right seat and just really focusing on your role, that has helped us get a lot farther, since before we were just kind of everyone was doing a little bit of everything. And it's really not as efficient as knowing your role and staying in it and sticking to your lane. And so a last question before the speed round, but I in the previous interview, I know you mentioned the book, The Celestine Prophecy, and my older brother literally loved that book. We all read it. We all like crazy going over it. Kenny's read it a few times and he read the sequel, but I did want to know, how has that book kind of impacted you and manifested itself in your real estate journey?
I need to reread it so that I can really apply it to my real estate journey specifically.
Yeah.
Because when I read it 2 times in college, it was really just applying to my overall character. But which obviously it has like a trickle down effect into real estate. But I don't have any specific real estate stories, but like
in general, I mean, like in terms of like the energy.
Exactly. It's that general idea or concept of what's supposed to happen is supposed to happen. So like the deal I complained about earlier that went a year, I don't know why yet, but eventually it's going to be very clear to me of why a flip would take a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
or what I'm going to look back on that year and think, what occurred that year due to this project being delayed? Oh, I found a new partner. I got rid of a toxic partner. I did this, I did that. Okay, cool. And then the reasons start to reveal themselves. So it forces you to fall in love with the journey more. Not be so down when something down happens, not be so happy when something happy happens, but like just to feel, just be. There's a Kanye quote I heard on a TikTok the other day. It was like, my mother taught me that we just are. Like there is no like what it could be, what it's supposed to be. We just are, right? And that book exemplifies that so much. It's just like that part of a lack of coincidence in life or in real estate is big. But then to take it on the other side, or the other lesson, that my big takeaway from that book is the energy thing. What you put out. That's why I need to reread it, because I probably could put out better energy. The older I get, the grumpier I get. I become like a grumpy old man. When I was reading that book 10 years ago at this point, I was a very optimistic person. And that optimism and that energy I was putting out to people and putting into everything I put into, obviously was reciprocated. And that's how I was able to get to where I am today. And it's a book you have to keep reading over and over. It's like a reminder of like how you need to move in the universe to be fed back that energy you're putting out.
I love that. And it's so awesome. The 2 things that the 2 takeaways from the book, I think common themes were the energy thing. And we're big believers in like, you're the sum of the people you surround yourself with, and energy is contagious. And so that's one of the things the book talks about. And the second thing is the actual coincidences, and like coincidences don't happen. Nothing's by accident. And so you look for those common threads in your life and things that happen. And 5 years later, you'll realize that it actually helped you get to where you are. So awesome. And we recommend that book if you haven't read it. It's called The Celestine Prophecy. Now, Art, it is time for our speed round. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I don't even know what it is, but
Awesome.
I was born ready.
Yeah, let's get it. I like to throw that on our guests by accident. So let's get it. Step one, question one. What is the number one thing that you are doing today that you weren't doing when you first started in real estate, but is obviously helping you now?
Focusing.
I love that. Good. Yeah. Good answer. Good answer. Number two, biggest failure in real estate and what you learned from the experience.
Not paying myself. So like more specifically, like we would raise capital, like a fund for flips and even for some multifamilies, and I wasn't charging a fee. Like I didn't know you could. And that was stupid because then my company wasn't funded and I wasn't comfortable throughout that process. And everyone who knows real estate, it's not a short process, it's long. So that was no good. Awesome. Awesome.
And looking to the future, what are you aiming to accomplish and what are your goals moving forward?
I want to, 1,000 doors is like really the goal. 1,000 doors, but not just to be associated with 1,000 doors or assets under management, but like I actually want to be cash flowing from 1,000 doors so that I can live comfortably without having to work so hard every day. Yeah, no, I love that. It's a great goal, very ambitious and very realistic too, if you got the mindset, and you clearly do. So yeah, you shared a ton of wisdom today. I really appreciate it. But if there was one piece of advice you'd want our audience to walk away with from this episode, what would that be? All right, I just made this up. So I'm gonna coin this. Don't listen. Yeah, I love this. I just made this up. I'm really about to coin this. Don't use your ears, use your eyes. Meaning I'm trying to figure out how to say it in a cool way. But basically don't listen, just see. Block the noise. Listening is like everything external. Vision is like, that's different from a metaphorical perspective. So I got to figure out a cool way to say that. But what I'm saying is that, like we talked about this earlier, you have your vision, you know what it's supposed to look like. You know what your perfect life is supposed to look like. Like we just know. From a relationship perspective, business, but it doesn't matter. You know it. So don't let anybody convince you away from that. You know what I mean? Like Walt Disney was famous literally for drawing weird shit. You know what I mean? Like at one point, but like that was his vision. Like I like to apply the mindset of a creative to my whole life, because you have to be a little weird to be a creative or like an inventor, like like a Steve Jobs, like all the people who we adore, and we're all like, those people were like weird and crazy at one point, right? Like they were 100%. Looked at as, so if they would have listened to everyone telling them how dumb of an idea something was, and I don't even like that because that's cliche, because an idea could be business, right? I'm talking about even on a deeper level of just like, if you say me and my brothers want to each be billionaires, and we're going to do so by syndicating multifamily real estate. You can't listen to people who are like, bro, if you want to get there faster, man, you're going to have to do 4X too on the side. Or if you want to get there faster, man, you guys should probably, well, don't you think if you like, no, like I said what I said, I see what I see, and I know how to get there. Not to be confused with not taking advice or whatever, but like, yeah, that's I don't want to digress, but you get it, bro. Like, it's like, don't use your ears, use your eyes. Stay true to your vision. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great advice. Great advice. And thanks so much for all the knowledge you dropped today. If anyone in our audience wants to reach out to you or just learn more about you or follow you on your journey, where can they go to do that?
Yeah, artmorrison3rd.com, artmorrisonii.com. There's some way to get in contact with me through different channels, or read my blog, or buy my book, or download my book for free, actually, or whatever on that website. Very active on Instagram, trying to get more active on TikTok and YouTube, but Instagram right now is my biggest platform, and it's Art Morrison III, Art Morrison III on Instagram. Tap in, I engage a lot, I drop a lot of gems on there, and I just love connecting with new people. So yeah, hit me up.
Perfect. Thanks so much for your time, Art. It was a pleasure chatting with you. And thanks everyone for tuning into the Real Estate Monopoly. Please make sure to leave a 5-star review and a comment down on wherever streaming platform you're tuning in on. And guys, let's get out there and take action. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.